So today Mummy is struggling to get the doggies out again, so I have bought them a ramp. And look, this is a little caravan, and the ramp takes up half the floor space and it goes up onto the bed. And that is where the child is sleeping. The little poorly child. Now, what we did this morning is we put some, I put a drop of CBD oil on my finger and rubbed it into her ear, because I read that that's how it can absorb into the body, because she won't taste it, she won't touch it. So we're trying what we can to make her life comfortable, because she's 15 years old. She's always been a puppet and a beautiful child, but now she's not very well. So Mummy's doing everything she can to make her life better at a baby girl. So I thought if I put the ramp up against the bed, she can walk up and down it, and it's got a carpet fixed into it. So hopefully that will help if they want to go out. But Mummy is struggling to get them outside. And this is very, very difficult now, because we've got a stroller for Puppy, and I can bring my car to the gate of the pitch, and I can pick her up and put her in there, but she just doesn't want to go out. But I was looking online, and 15-year-old dogs are the equivalent of 83-year-old people. So these babies are elderly. So we've got to remember this, haven't we, Puppy? And remember that Puppy is older. And when we get older, we're not full of vitality all the time, and sometimes we just want to sleep all day. So I've got today off and tomorrow off, and this is the hard part for me, is I don't like going out and leaving them because she's poorly. And so I'm trying to lure them out. Now Puppy has got an odour coming from her which she's never had before, and I think it's the tumour, which I can't really feel that much. She doesn't seem to be in any pain. She's just resting. Her tail wags when she sees Paul and people, and she still gets excited, but she just wants to sleep a lot. But so does Honey, and Honey is the same age. And when you get to this age, that's what happens to you. You just slow down. So you don't know which part of her is just being elderly and which part of her is the poorly part. Now, they do tend to go out more with Paul. With me, I have to coax, beg, plead, and they just don't want to come out, and I don't know why. When they come to my house, they tend to just be... They just want to sleep all the time, and they don't really want to be bothered. So, I don't know what's happening yet. I don't know where things are going to go, and we just don't know. But I do feel there's a big change coming, and I'll just tell you this. So anyway, I left Scotland 11 years ago, coming up to 12 years ago, and I'll sit here and talk. I've got to fall over the dog first. So when I came here 12 years ago, I went through a grief, and it felt like a bereavement, because I left my family behind, and we'd always been dead close, physically and everything. And when I left England to move to Scotland, I came on my own with the two doggies, and there'd have been about 3 or 4 at the time. And it was really, really emotional. And I remember being on the island, and I went through a grief, because it was like the letting go. But something inside me said, you've got to do this, because sometimes in life we've got to do things that are uncomfortable, and we all evolve and grow throughout life. And I had a calling to come to Scotland, and because I had that calling, I had to do it, because for years I'd had it and ignored it and pushed it away, and other people had said, oh, you don't want to go to Scotland because it's full of midges and all, it's raining all the time and there's nothing there and all the rest. But I instantly fell in love with Scotland, on the west coast, to such a degree that if you says to me you can't be here anymore, I would cry, I would grieve for Scotland. That's how much I love it here. So this is how I see life, right? So I see everything like spiritually and behind the scenes. So leaving England to me was like, there's your past and there's the future. And at some point they converge and come together, and it can be really painful because that's a transition. And when you go through that, you don't know what's on the other side of it, and it scares you and excites you at the same time because you feel something behind the scenes. It's like a rush of adrenaline, and it's very hard to explain. But that time I felt that. And I went through the grieving process of leaving my family behind, but then I was into an exciting new life, which was a massive adventure. And it was like a Bilbo Baggins thing, you know, with the Hobbit. Because that's what I was like. I had my homestead, I had my house that I was buying, and I made it mine. And I loved my house, I loved the garden, and I loved having my sister next door and everything. And it was just how I wanted it, but I couldn't afford to keep it by myself without working full time and plus. And I just didn't want to do it. And I thought, I've seen women get to a certain age and they're on their own and they've got no choice but to work around the clock to pay for a house. They only sleep in because they spend all day at work. So they only go home to collapse in front of a TV, eat, go to bed. That's it. And I thought, I'm not doing this. So coming to Scotland was a massive transition for me. And I have found a niche life here. And for the last 6 years, I've lived in a caravan. Not just this one, I've had 5 altogether. And this is the biggest van I've had. But, oh, here comes the aeroplane. So for the last 6 years, I have lived in a caravan on this park. I'll just let it go over. Right next door to an airport. So anyway, it has been, for the most part, really nice being here. It's the best location because I've managed to write my books here, and I've learned a craft which I don't talk about, and that's a spiritual thing which I do not talk about because I'm used to people laughing at me and making fun and mocking me and going behind my back and going, oh, she's, you know, so I don't talk about that. But I have evolved a lot while I've been here. And recently I've been going through another grief. And it feels like that one when I left England to go to Scotland. And I'm seeing lots of signs because, again, I walk on the other paths and I see symbols everywhere. And this is how I operate. So I read things. So the other day I saw 2 dead birds and lots of other stuff going on. Just things that other people wouldn't take any notice of. They just go, it's 2 dead birds, babies, chicks, right? But to me, I analyse everything. So this is how I go through life, and that's why I write deep, dark books, because I'm into that kind of stuff. But what I'm feeling is the life I've just had with my doggies is coming to an end. None of us know how long we've got, but they're 15 years old, and that's old for a dog, and we just don't know. I mean, Honeygirl's nearly 16, so how long do we have? So you don't have time to be playing games and that, and I'm so grateful that I've had 15 years of love with these dogs because they've loved me and I've loved them. And I stayed homeless for 7 years for these dogs because no one would give me a house with dogs, and I said I'll stay on the streets, I don't care. So I've lived in my car, I've lived in a tent, and I've done living jobs for many years now. And usually the living jobs are better because most of them let you bring your pets, so that's fine. So that's how we've lived. We just found a niche way to live and stay together, but my priority was keeping us together, and that goes with Paul as well. So we've had like a soul tie. Me and Paul became friends 11 years ago, and we've never let go of each other because of the dogs. It's almost like 2 parents having children, and we both love them equally, so it's like joint custody. That's how we have this. But what I'm feeling right now is that something new is coming, and I don't know if it's an event or a person, because life changes when you're on an adventure and it doesn't stay static all the time. So you go through phases where you think, this is it now. But it's never, this is just it, because life changes, we change. But I'm getting a very, very strong feeling that any time now, this life with the dogs and Paul and this new one is coming together and crossing. And I think what's going to happen is something's going to happen, or somebody's going to come in as this ends, and they're going to be there to comfort the ending, if that makes sense. Because when I came to Scotland, Paul came during my grieving process and helped me through that. And so going from that life to this one, he was there at that crossover point to help me with that. And I feel somebody's coming in to help that transition again. So I really do feel that you can't put time limits on people, but definitely 100% within 2 years I won't have my dogs. I just, they're not going to live forever, and I've got to face it. And one of them has got cancer, and she's doing well despite it, but she's not I see it. I'm her mum, so I see that it could go either way. So she's getting CBD oil now, colloidal silver, drop of that in water, olive leaf extract. I got some, I can't remember, but I've got loads of like holistic things to make things better for them. But we're still going to have to say goodbye at some point, and that I don't want to think about it because I'll start crying, because I'm going through that grief thing again. So I can keep crying before it even happens, because I know what's going to happen. And this happens to us all. We all feel it, you know. If someone you love gets diagnosed with a terminal illness, it breaks your heart, because you know you're going to be saying goodbye and you can't stop it happening. And you grieve for them before they've gone. You start grieving as soon as you get diagnosed, and so it's a really painful thing to go through, but it's part of life, and that's the hardest part of being here, is losing the ones we love. And so, but I do feel that I'm getting sent something or someone to help me as we cross here, and I don't know what's going to be the outcome, and I don't know what this event or person is going to be, but I feel I'm going to be comforted through the end of this life into the next phase. And so part of me is grieving because I know I'm losing the people who I love, but at the same time I'm feeling comfort knowing that something's coming in to comfort me through it. So it's almost like it's hard to describe it sometimes, but it's like you can feel somebody putting their arms around you from the other side. It's like they're saying, you're going to go through a grief and a painful period, but everybody is. You know, you can be madly in love and have the best life, and there comes a day when one of you goes first, and it's painful. So we all go through this. So I'm saying to myself, just accept the stuff you can't change. We're all going to die. I don't believe in death, as I've said before. I just don't believe it. I just believe in transitions, and we just go to another place. And so to me, I'm about at this point where there's going to be a crossover, and I believe something or somebody is going to save me from going really down, because if I didn't have this event coming in, that would hurt so bad. I don't know if I'd function properly for a long time, because grief can cripple you and it can make you poorly. And I've seen people just lose themselves when they lose someone they love, and it can be an animal or a person, and I've seen them just lose that spark. And I believe I've always been protected, and I've always had the other side looking out for me. I do believe this, and no one can ever convince me otherwise, that we've got them on the other side, whatever you want to call them. And I do believe that I'm getting sent event or person to help me with that crossover point, which will be painful but less so, because I will have somebody or something by my side that's getting me through it. And so I can cry 1 minute and I can be screaming, laughing the next, because it's a mixed emotional time of happiness and misery at the same time, and it's just strange. It's like a sweet and sour. Which one is it? And it's a bit of both. So, but this happens to us all, and I think it's important to talk about stuff, because we go through life not appreciating all the time the people who are in it, and we don't always appreciate what we have. And quite often you see people live in regret because they lose the one or that thing, or they walk out on something that they later realise that was a gift and I didn't appreciate it and I didn't see it at the time. And so it's really easy to take things for granted and think it's always going to be there, and then when it's gone you feel it sorely inside. You know, it's like a void inside your body. And to me, I've always embraced people who I love, and I've always loved them, and if they don't love me back, I've had to go through a grief and then accept and then move on. When it comes to bereavement with doggies and things like that, it's weird because they don't want to leave you. They want to be here. They love you and you love them, and it's just a pure love that there's no argument with. You don't argue with your dogs. They just love you, and it's just an easy relationship to have, and it's an hard one to lose. But I know that something's coming along in my life. I don't know what it is, but I know that it's going to help me through this. So just recently I've been meeting a lot of really genuine, authentic people, which is very rare for me, because I normally get sent challenges. So people who are two-faced, backstabbing, you can see it in the face that they're not genuine. They don't really like you, but they'll go hi, but they don't really like you. You feel it. I feel it, and I know. So I accept that that's the world we live in, and I just walk alone through it. But the last few days I've been meeting genuine people who I feel are real genuine people, and even though our paths cross very quickly and I'll never see them again, because these are people I'm meeting on the park and in just out and about, they're making me feel like this is the sign that life's going to be okay. You don't need to worry about losing Paul, the dogs. You can cry for it and all the rest, but somebody will always be by your side. We'll always send somebody. And what could it be? I mean, oh my gosh, it could be anything. It could be another pet. It could be anything. I don't know. But I just know that it's okay to grieve and feel sadness while we know we're going to lose people. It's okay. And it's okay to go through all the emotions. I don't feel any embarrassment for it at all, me. But it's also okay to accept that you can be happy after it as well. That's okay. Because these dogs wouldn't want me to be crying for the rest of my life. They wouldn't want that. And people who love you, if I died now, I wouldn't want my family to be crying and grieving for me forever. I'd want them to be happy. I want them, get it all out and be happy, because how do we know we won't meet again somewhere else in a different form, in a different time? And we don't know. But we don't die. We are eternal. And I believe that animals in particular, they've got a pure soul, because they just love you no matter what. Their soul is so pure that they just go straight to somewhere really positive and beautiful, and they're not grieving when they're there. They're in a new world, having a different experience. And it's the people who are left behind that suffer, because we're the ones who are left holding the leads and stuff, going, where have they gone? And it's horrible it's horrible, but we know they're alright. But I say, while we're here, if we are authentic and we are the best versions of ourselves, or we work towards that, and we love the people who love us, and we love our pets, and we are gentle with them and kind, we don't need to worry about where we're going. The only people who I worry about are the ones who don't get it. People who are always angry or lying or dramatic and just need drama. If you don't find yourself while you're here, you're going to end up in another place where you'll be lost, and I just don't want to do that for myself. So I have to learn to just love and then let it go when it's time, and then allow it in when it comes, and just leave all the resistance behind and just accept that life is what it is. And we're just going to go through every emotion there is and accept that it's part of the human experience. So on that note, I'm going to go. I've got a feeling I'm not going to get the dogs out of the door. So I've been... In fact, I'll go and do a little vlog in my polytunnel actually and put that on and show you what I'm doing there and have a little chat there as well. So I will go for now, and thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe because I want to get monetized. I don't know why, because money's not going to matter soon because we're going digital ID and all that crap, but anyway. And don't forget to check out my books on Amazon, The Dark Sky by Kelly Fallbrook and Myths and Legends, Fairy Tales for Adults. And I'll see you later.